Hey guys, it's Jason Centeno, the founder of Trash Emitter. Let's get started.
Welcome to Dad Space. I have Jason today on the podcast. He's got like a belt. World's Best Dad. And he took the whole idea of celebrating dadness into his community, created a whole thing. And now dads compete for the belt, the title, World's Best Dad. You're world's best dad because you're on the podcast listening right now. Thank you. Here we go. Jason's on the podcast. You ready? Ding, ding. Let's get this bell going. Here we go. Jason. Let's see if we can get this belt away from Jason. Here we go. Okay, welcome to the podcast. Happy to have everybody here today. I have a new friend, a champion, world-class dad, and he's got the belt to prove it, so that's kind of cool. Yes, Jason's with us today. Jason, how are you?
Great. Yes, you did nail it on the head.
Let's see this. Come on.
I got it right here in case anybody doubts. I earned it. There's a story, and you could have one of these too if you listen to everything Dave has to share with you today.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. You have to earn this, though. It's not just given away. You have to earn this, correct?
Yeah, you could buy it, but that's kind of corny to just buy it. And, well, you know what? Do what you want to do. But
yeah,
I had to earn that back. I did buy it, but I had to give it away for a year because I didn't earn it that year, but then I won it back. So the victory is a lot more sweeter when you got to fight for that thing, even if you do buy it. So
okay, so
yeah.
There's a story behind this. This came up. We chatted before we hit record earlier that Father's Day kind of seemed like a non-event, which is sad. Mother's Day, good luck getting a seat at a restaurant. It's packed. Father's Day, you can roll a bowling ball down the restaurant. You won't hit anybody, right? So, and then you jumped up. You're like, wait a minute. I got something to say. And so what I love is you came up with something unique for dads that is a way to celebrate all things dad in a community setting, and that kind of led to the belt. So can you kind of take us back to the start of this thing you've done in your community? Because I love it, and I think it should catch on. I think people should do this. I'm a big fan. Let's talk about that.
I do too. So let's see. How do I phrase it? So I like to party, and any excuse to do that. Now, when you're older and you're a father and you got 6 kids, you can't just party. Or your parties consist of Chuck E. Cheese and random, invites over to places you don't want to hang out really because you don't know the people. But and you mentioned Mother's Day. So a while back, it's about be 2.5 years now, I guess. I just thought like, why Father's Day? Kind of, like you said, it's a non-issue. How can I have fun? Have an excuse, do something that's almost like a father's spring break sort of kind of situation that we can actually get away with it, because that's the key. You can do whatever you want, but like, how are you going to enroll your family into this thing to do this with you and basically, take back your power in the house, at least for one day. So I came up with this idea. I was doing a podcast called The Dad Next Door. And so my first thing was, okay, so how can I write off a party? So I decided I had a guy put a roof on my house, and then I just asked him, this is kind of where it started. I was just like, well, let me see, how can I do something and not have to come out of my pocket completely for it? So the guy doing the roof, I said, hey, you guys ever sponsor like events? He's like, yeah, sometimes if it's worth it. I said, okay, so you just did my roof. How about this? We're gonna throw a party this coming weekend. We're gonna have a lot of people from the neighborhood here. Why don't you give me a banner, like any kind of your banner, and you can hang it up, and you sponsor the food. And he was like, all right. So $500 into the kitty later, we had the makings of a party. So from there, it started to sort of evolve, right? So I was like, okay, what are some fun things dads can do? I had just thrown a party not too, I don't know, 6 months ago before that. And I had these samba dancers, which was really cool. And everybody that was at that party, even though it was for my wife, I brought them in as a surprise. But all the dads were giving me thumbs up because I managed to squeeze in something for the men, even though it was my my wife's 50th birthday party, in a way that was relatively tasteful but very memorable. And I was thinking, how can I get these people back? How can I get some of that going on again here? So I was thinking I was going to bring these guys in. So then, I started talking to the dads in the neighborhood. I was like, all right, what else would be cool? Obviously, a DJ, food. What else? Oh, games. And then it was like, okay, well, a big slip and slide. So we had a couple of we rented one of those big, slides, because when you do a party, it's not just for you, but it was kind of for us. But at least we'd have the kids being busy while we were drinking and doing what we wanted to do. So this thing evolved where, you know, at the end of the day, we had a DJ, we had the big slide, we had another slip and slide, had a bunch of ideas for some games amongst us, and then this bad boy, I was like, you know what, you can't do a Father's Day without like some kind of award. So I was like, this will be the prize. So at the end of the festivities, there would be kind of like I had all these other big ideas, but they didn't kind of pan out. But at least that one did, and it was okay. So we're gonna do some random games, and we'll make up some, and then the wives will make up some, and that was cool because they made up some funny ones for us, like mansplaining and other stuff that we had on, and got and then my wife and then all the mothers started kind of getting into it a little bit, and they were like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do that. So you get remember when you do your party, it is about you, but it's not about you. And then another key thing is this: discovered that every Father's Day, most fathers either travel or go somewhere, or they have something to do because somebody in their family said, well, that's when we're going to do it. So it's always better the day before. So do it on Saturday, because then Sunday is actually a bonus day if you think of it that way. So then you don't have to worry about the crappy ties, whatever comes of that. It's kind of just bonus. You might just be recuperating and be happy to just do nothing. I don't know. With me, that usually is the occasion. But so yeah, so we ended up putting this thing together. I got like one of those spinny wheels you can get off of Amazon for kind of, I don't know, you can probably find a used one, but the ones that you'll spin and it's like you can just magic mark, or you can do it a dry erase board and put in, and we made like point system, and I use that thing a lot. I use it on Halloween to for kids. I make them spin the wheel to see how many candies they get, and it's like you get one, you get 10, you get 20, you give me some. That one pisses them off, but like they'll take 20 candies like that, but they don't like giving it up. But I call it the wheel of torture, or the wheel of of trick. This is the trick wheel. Well, I just reuse that thing for any occasion now. So basically, like a truth or dare. I think that was the first thing we did, kind of a truth or dare on the wheel. So whatever you did, you would get like free spaces, and then other you have to just do some kind of dare and be judged for it. But yeah, that was the evolution. And then we just threw together a party. All the dads, some what do you need? All right, bring them desserts. You bring drinks. You bring ice. And it was like rock soup. People just once you say it's this day and you say we're gonna do this stuff. Who got this or that? Some will, some won't. But you just leave it open for all. So the first year, pretty good. I mean, had one not a serious girl fight, but it was kind of a girl fight. It was funny. Um, that was entertaining. Everybody got to enjoy it. Young and old. The dads were all pretty hammered at the end, and happy. And it wasn't a lot of cleanup, and it was a group effort, but it was just like a no. Yeah, it was a fun way to celebrate something, and like I said, it was it was created to be our version for dads of like a spring break. And because it's so close to the date, you usually can get a pass for this. Hopefully, I mean, results may vary. I don't know what your marriage, whoever's listening to, I don't know what your marriage is like. I mean, I don't know what your relationship is like. But generally speaking, if you're a good dude for most of the year, this could be your second Christmas if you do it right. And it just takes a little hustle. I mean, if you got a business, I would even try to get local businesses around to sponsor some piece of it. Whether the grocery store could throw you some hot dogs or hamburgers. Be creative, because at the end of the day, that's what started it. And then over time it gets less costly, because people start, well, I got this, I got that, or we don't really need a DJ this year, we could use my son. Whatever gets the party going. And keeping in mind that everybody wants to contribute in some way, so if they have something special, then throw it in the pot, right? And then at the end of the day, for me, unfortunately, when we do it in Florida, Tampa, and it's like the top of the summer heat. So we need like, some coverings and stuff like that. But this year wasn't bad. Actually, it was cloudy and it was a great day. Um, that's one of the hazards of being in the sunny places. But if you're in an area that doesn't, it's not going to give you a heat stroke being out there for a few hours. Do it 1 o'clock to like 5 or 6, and then could take it into the night. I mean, we even had it set up to do a movie, like, somebody puts a movie under garage and sound system. But after 5 or 6 hours of drinking and partying and playing games against each other and getting an award, you get tired. So you either choose to do that or not. But it's up to you. I don't know what kind of energy you have, what kind of location you have, how many people you want to make, who are involved in this. But it could be as big or as small as you like. But all you need is about 20 people to have a really good time. And we went between, I don't know, 15 to 30, depending on which one of the two events it was, and everybody had fun, and nobody died, which is great. So
So, how many years have you been doing this?
we just finished the second one,
Second one,
which
okay.
was
Yeah,
last one that just passed. So so keep it going as long as I can keep it going, and just somebody's got to try to win back this belt. So that, like I said, like the first year, this guy comes. He's got 4 kids, all boys. He's a Mormon. He's clean, healthy, eating, muscular dude. You know, he took it. But this year, I evened the score with better games, not so many feats of strength. It was more about cunning and aim. We actually had a human duck, my son. Those duck games where
yeah, yeah.
where somebody walks back and forth. Well, it was somebody this year, but they walk back and forth and you get to hit them.
Yeah.
Well, I, you know, I came up with one when my son was for it until a little later in the game. But they want to throw water balloons, where I was like, nope, water balloons are for us. And if you want to if you want to be involved in water balloons, then you have to walk back and forth between this area, and then depending on where you stood, the points, there was a point, the chalks on the floor. Like if you got
Yeah.
hit in that area, it was 1, 2, or 3 points. So by the time my time was up, he was pretty upset.
He
But
was
then
done with it. Yeah,
he
yeah,
was done. But
yeah.
A, I won the most points, and B, I bribed him with a video game on Oculus. So it only cost me $10 to win that, but I did.
There you
Do what you got to do, man. It's about winning. So that was just one of the highlights.
go. I love it. Okay, so what's the response from your neighbors in this? They're like, do they love it? Like, is it the new thing now for everybody?
It is. So it's brought the neighbors together, the ones that
Good.
aren't beefing with each other over other things. And
Yeah, yeah.
when you
Right, right, yeah.
when you live in an HOA community, or you got cul-de-sacs, sometimes you got a couple people that don't want to be around other people for whatever stupid reason. But that ain't my problem. I
Mhm.
invite them all, and if you don't want to come, that's on you. But they like it, and they everybody appreciated it because nobody's done anything like that.
Yeah,
If there's any kind of like celebrations, I guess you could say, in the community, usually it's a kids party, or it's like a Sunday dinner where you can't fit everybody. This one, we live on a cul-de-sac, so there's room for everybody to spread out. Everybody's outside. It's multiple driveways. You know, like I said, it's a cul-de-sac, so you got a big circle. You got all this room to go wild in, and then we kind of, the 3 neighbors kind of share yards, so we have a big space for the slide, and just any kind of wild imagination kind of situation game that we come up with. So it's usually, you don't need a lot. You just need to use your imagination, and then wing it sometimes, because when you get to sipping a little bit, the ideas come, and some of them are excellent, and not all of them are. But you will never know until you just you put yourself there and you find out, right? Like that's how everything works, I think. So
amazing. So this is Dad's Space. So what I always love to ask when I have a guest on is your dad's story. So let's talk a little bit about you, your family. Let's let people in on behind the scenes of what's going on in your home.
hmm. Well, I'll clue you into some of this stuff in the background as I go through that. So my story: I am a retired firefighter from Philadelphia. COVID, I'll just say that, made it so that I wanted to move. And call me a political refugee, whatever.
Mm.
Point is, I got tired of what was going on in Philly and where things were headed. And I was we were fortunate enough to have been able to acquire a house a little bit before everything hit, so the prices weren't jacked up.
Yep.
And we just decided to, instead of turn it into a short term rental, move right into it and just leave everything behind.
Wow.
And it wasn't the plan, but that's what we did. Leap of faith, and it worked out. So over that, when I did that, I kind of decided to just put everything behind me and kind of start fresh. I was like, what do I want to do in my life? About a year or so, I bopped around. I did a similar kind of thing like what you're doing. I did a podcast called The Dad Next Door. It was just filmed it, and I'll probably redo it again because it was fun. But
Yeah.
I met some really cool characters.
That's amazing. Tell me about your kids. Apparently you have like more than one. Is this true? Come on.
Yeah, so that we have six and five are adopted.
Nice.
So you know that's actually part of my why for what I'm doing
Good.
is you know as great as this could be for the earth, what's even greater to me is having a platform to share, which what I call my journey to 100. And what that is in 2014 I got inspired by a sequence of events which I never planned to we never planned to adopt that many kids. We were done at three. That was pretty clear to me, but I got basically what I would like to say call a tap on the shoulder from God. And he pretty much laid out that my purpose was not to just take on what I could handle, but take on what almost nobody can handle. So as I try to wrap my mind around that, we took on more than we could possibly thought we could handle, but it forced us to grow and learn from it. Not only that, but our experience with these different kids gave us insight into the process that I've been able to use to help other like dad entrepreneurs is kind of like who I care about the most, right?
Hmm.
So what started happening was people, guys in the real estate field or Airbnb, any sort of business where they were like, hire me for consulting or just talk to me, ask me questions. I would tell them about my story, and I would like, really what I would like is if I help you become, get to $1 million, let's say, that that would take away the because when you're a family and you want to adopt, mothers seem to be, oh yeah, we need to do that, I want to have kids. Fathers can be like nodding their head, but then in their head they're doing calculations. Well, if I have more than three kids, I got to get a bigger car, bigger house, everything's bigger, everything's more. How are we going to do it? So they might be doing this, but inside they're pulling back the
Hmm.
reins, and I know because that was me. So um, I always got into the conversations and saying, I'm gonna help you with this, but when you get to wherever you're going, I invite you, I would urge you, remember this conversation. And if you ever have if that room in your heart, if you ever thought about it, you have room in your heart, and you ever wondered what it would be like, or what do I need to do, and now you have mental space and in your head financial space to consider it, call me, let me know. I'll tell you whatever you need to know. I'll help you work through it. And that worked a few times. In fact, I could say three times for sure. I think there's a couple other kind of in the chamber, but that kind of gave me my inspiration to what I call in my head my journey to 100. For me, that is, if I am able to not myself adopt, because I don't have that kind of room, or I think I would be doing my kids a disservice if I had to spread my attention that thin. But if I, my through my influence, I want to see 100 kids adopted through my influence. So that to me
Hmm.
means is, if you ask me 2 years from now, how did I do it? And then you go through the process, and 2 years later you tell me, yeah, we just adopted our first. Thank you so much. I count that as one of mine because
Yeah.
I said I had something to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So I want that feeling. I want to be able to know that like I had conversations that led to 100 kids being adopted. I don't care, some people want to be like, oh, I want to, Tony Robbins. I want to change the world. I want to be on stages. I want to TED Talk everybody. That's not really my passion. I want to know that 100 kids lives were changed through conversations that I had or actions that I took, and both. That's why I care about what I'm doing more, because when you get to a certain level of success, people will just be like, well, he must know what he's talking about. Look at where he's at.
Yeah.
Whether I do or not, it could be a complete accident. I mean, could have
Yeah.
won the lottery. I could have inherited like Trump. You don't know. But the point is, getting to this level of success opens a lot more doors and ears ultimately, and sometimes hearts. And I'll take every weapon at my disposal if I can achieve that particular mission in my head, which is 100 kids. After that, I think I could die happy. Not saying I'm limited to that, just saying that knowing that I reach that whenever that happens would be it for me in terms of like feeling accomplished, not a bank account with so much in it. My hair's green, and I'm going to tell you about that.
Yeah.
I made it green because I want to pick up a million bags of trash, and so my hair stays green until I pick up a million bags of trash. To me, I get reminded of that every day. I also get reminded every day because I have 5 kids in my house that are not of my bloodline. So I do things like that on purpose to stay in my face because I forget a lot. We all get caught up in things. We say we want to do something, and then we wait 2 years later, we haven't done nothing. So these are just my ways of like forcing myself to these goals that I feel like would mean more to the world and definitely have more importance to me than say you know preaching to a million people or
Hmm.
whatever people do to feel accomplished in their life. I don't know. That was going to do it for me. So hopefully, I that was succinct enough because I know I kind of went all over the place there.
Yeah,
So,
no. So, why personally does adoption mean so much to you?
mm. Well, I'm a Christian, so we're all adopted.
Hmm.
God brought us into His family the way He did. Whether you believe that or not, that's cool. I don't fight people over that. That's kind of just that's my belief system. So in a way, we're all adopted. Then I'm the oldest of 7, but my parents adopted 3 more. They were called kinship, which is you know, they were kids. They were related to us already. They were my cousin's kids, but her life was off track, and somebody needed to, help these kids out. So my mom and pop brought them in. So I've been around it. We've had the kind of big family, big Puerto Rican family anyway. Put in a few more, never hurt. It was always, wow, more people in the house, but I was used to it. Um, then with us I did want a bigger family because we had a lot we were blessed, so I wanted to share that, but unfortunately we were only able to have one by natural methods, and we tried for more, and it was stuff with my wife's health, and I got tired of seeing her suffer for this.
Hmm.
And there's enough people in the world. Adoption doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go to another country, you don't have to like scour the earth and pay tens of thousands of dollars. There's all these flavors of ways you could help kids that people don't even know about. Where you could just take them in and as a shelter, like kind of like for a few months until they do get a forever home, or foster only if that's in your heart. We did foster to adopt because I felt like that was just there was a need. People needed there was a need. Why search? Why go looking all over the place when they're right there in your backyard, right? So there's always
Hmm.
a need close to you. You just got to open your eyes and just be willing to accept it. And the other thing too is I think people have this misconception that if you pay a lot of money, your adoption is going to happen, right? And we already knew enough people that try to go adopt from China or other places that the day they get there, they get turned away after all this expenditure and hope, and they go visit, political reasons or whatever, they will get turned
Yeah.
away, and it breaks their heart. So if I'm gonna have my heart broken, I guess you can say, and get on this roller coaster ride of emotions, let me do it in a way that made more sense and that could help. It was a little bit more logical to me to do it that way
Hmm.
than to go make this journey, spend all this money, and like all that for one kid, and it doesn't happen when there's a whole smorgasbord. Maybe that's not the right word, but a
Yeah.
bunch you can kind of choose from with right there that you pass by to go doing all that. And I think that's because people think that there's some control that they can have over all this. There's no control. Like anything could happen in your life. Your kid could turn out any way. Whether you're healthy, they could come out unhealthy. Whether you're, one thing, they could be like they could become criminals. There's all sorts of ways that things could go wrong that doesn't even matter in their backgrounds. That's just the way the life is. So if you give up that idea that I'm going to have all this control over this situation, and I think that's like, depends on who you are, but like I think women like that control or that certainty because they're more
Hmm.
into security. You have to let go of that because if you can't, you're always going to be, you're always going to have a bad time. But if you learn to like, you got to like, you just got to be open to it. You got to roll with it. The other thing I suggest is if it's something that you are considering, that you find other people that have done it already
Yeah.
and help them mentor you because one of the things that helped us was this pastor and his wife who had adopted five, and we were like, well, we're looking into that. Can you tell us more? They told us their story, and they had some ups and downs too, and some really good outcomes as well. But that, like, think of the gym when you have a partner spotting you,
Yeah.
like you need those people because the women need a woman to vent against because like they don't understand, all the people involved, and they get caught up in like, people calling them names, or like, biological parents, or the court system being funky, a million things that could go wrong or that don't make sense to them, and they get mad, and they want to cuss and fight everybody. But somebody that's gone through it the same as them, that's been in the trenches like they have, is best for them to sit together and talk and have some wine and kind of vent. And the
Mhm.
same with the men. The men know it too, and they can talk it out, and they can be like, yeah, this is how I kind of handle it. And so each person has a partner to vent to, and I would even go so far as to like try to connect to a group of those kind of people. They try to within the system get parents together like that, but for us, we met them in the church, and we had like a small. There was about four different sets of parents that, two to four sets of parents that kind of were going through a similar journey, and we were there for each other. So if you can't get that many, I would say even just one couple like that kind of
Yeah.
went through something similar, to seek them out and ask questions and get close to them and be there for them as they go through it, and hopefully they reciprocate. But yeah, I mean, that would be like the number one tip for anybody considering any of this, is to like find someone who already went through it and just ask questions and lean on them for guidance. And you know all of them will, unless they're like a cold-blooded, which that doesn't make any sense because if you're adopting,
Hmm.
you're not. They will certainly welcome you, and try to help you the best they can. And you definitely need it because you can't doing it alone sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's with anything, but it especially sucks when you're going through some of that because you don't understand it.
Jason, from your point of view, what we've heard what this means to you personally and to your wife as well, but what about for your kids? What does it mean for them to have a home and have love and have security, to have that backyard and memories? What does it mean to them?
So two of them understand it on a rudimentary level. One, because we got him when he was older. He was actually the one that kind of set the rest in motion. Um, but we got him when he was older, and so he remembers his other family, and he asks questions about them before. So I take special care with him. But he's aware. And then the girls, they're younger, so we share that with them because I mean we're a very diverse looking family. Some of us look similar, but like especially
Mm.
the boys, they don't. We're a Puerto Rican family. Some of us are dark. I'm on the lighter side, and then there's these two blonde haired, blue eyed boys. They look like they're twins or brother. They look like they're related to each other, but they don't fit with anybody else. So it takes it even though one of them we had him since 3 months old, he he doesn't see a difference, which is great because
That's
that's the
awesome.
beauty of
Yeah.
kids. It's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but the other one knows. And then my daughter, she's familiar with the word, and we talk about it. And she has questions, and sometimes they're freaking uncomfortable. But
Hmm.
I think mostly because they don't have the words to express how what they're trying to say. So they'll say things that seem very blunt and weird, and kind of like, where the heck did that come from? You just got to be patient with it, and keep hammering at it. And the idea is this, we definitely, anytime they bring comes up, we tell them this, we chose you, so you were even harder. Like, we couldn't choose.
Yeah.
I point to the other one. I'm like, him. We had no choice, but you guys, we picked you. We picked you. He's
Love it.
18. You don't care. He can take
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Love it.
So we try to make them feel more valuable instead of less valuable for that particular situation. And then, just, explaining to them it's the same way God took us in, we took you in. He's a father, he adopted us as his children. We did the same thing. And they,
Yeah.
those kind of comparisons they start to get. And the other thing too is, I don't know, this is probably not common, but for some of them, for the girls anyway, they have biological brothers out there. The biological mom, um, she had a lot of kids, and two of them were taken by a different family, and we got the girls, the three. But we determined that because we knew that we met the other parents in court, we knew them, very great couple, and we actually meet with them when we were back in PA. It was like 3 or 4 times a year to go to the zoo together, to the beach together, Halloween hayride, and Christmas party. Those were kind of the four things we would get them together for. So they know the boys; those boys are older. They know that those are their sisters. The girls kind of, well, the oldest girl kind of knows something. The other ones are just like, hey, they think of them as family. They don't know that they're really their biological brothers.
Mm.
So the reason why we do that is because we don't want them ever wondering, like, what is that like? What, what am I from? Who looks like me? And I don't know how it's going to be in the future, but we decided that that's what we wanted to do with all of them, with their siblings, because they all have it, except for, the boys. Unfortunately, their biological parents are hot messes and they're all over the place. So
Mm.
getting them involved, especially because one of them's on the spectrum, is more trouble right now than it's worth. But the door's still open for that if under certain circumstances, because we have to protect these kids, and throwing them into the hot mess that was their former lives, like like was the one that was on the spectrum. When he got exposed to his biological parent, well, his mother, every time he was around any of them, he would regress like years. Like he'd go back to like pissing the bed and
Yeah.
acting out and just being this wild mess of emotions. And because even though he's older, he's psychologically younger. Um, we got to wait with him till he's a little bit older. So, you know, I don't have all the answers. I'm just saying, like, this is the game we play. We chose it. We play it the best we can. We'll probably make some mistakes along the way, or regrets. Maybe not regrets, but just cautionary tales. And that's why I feel like when people like you or anybody I would ask me about that, depending where I am in life, they're gonna have something similar they're going through, and I'm like a library of that stuff. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
how we did it, what to look for, where the gotchas are, you know,
Yeah.
because everything sounds great when it's coming from a social worker or some kind of government agency trying to convince you to do something that might not be in the best interest of everybody there. But it sounds great. It sounds like you're being a nice person, except for the fact that you might do something that now you're entangled with that biological parent forever now because you said a certain
Yeah.
word a certain way. And I fortunately I was advised differently, and we got to experience firsthand. And as good as people want to be, I say, well, look, be as good as you want, but set up these sort of roadblocks in a way where if they really care that much, they'll overcome those challenges, but they have to prove it. So where it was easy for them to kind of come in and come and go as they please and just cause a hot mess and come upset a table and walk out of the party like nothing happened, you make these sort of like I said, these challenges for them that they have to meet every one, and then you will, I don't know, set up a meeting with the child or whatever, like they want to see be in their life again. But having these particular mechanisms in place and say, no, you got to first prove to the county that you are like substance abuse free. That's always going to stop them because none, who is these days?
Yeah.
Number one,
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, you
Yeah.
can't test hot. Oh well, I can't. All right, well, if you really want to see your kid, then you better stay off that for X amount of days if you care that much. So that right there, that's already like a way to keep them back. But if they do that, hey, that means you care. You really do
Yeah.
care. You were unselfish enough to forego all your pleasures and your selfish thinking. All right, maybe you are turning a new leaf. Stuff like that. But that's kind of a longer conversation for another day, I guess. But
Yeah.
anybody out there want to reach out to me about that kind of stuff, I'm here for it. Trust me. So
So, Jason, before we wrap up, like, first of all, I want to acknowledge and thank you for serving your community as a first responder to go where people run from and to run towards trouble. That's takes a different type of person to do that. So thank you for doing that and demonstrating that for your community. We talk about community. You build community with dads in your neighborhood. You created stuff to strengthen the dads around you, where you live. So you're building community there. You're building community within your home with your kids. And I love the heart. I love the passion you have for the things that are in front of you. And now they are constant reminders to you that you need to keep pushing forward. you never give up, the green hair, having the kids around the table, right? Those are reminders every day. So you're living community every day, and I find that very inspiring as a dad. To close off, Jason, what would be your tip or a lesson that you've learned as a dad you could share with other dads that are listening?
One of the things that comes up a lot, and this is a debate, is how do you balance family life and like business life? Like, you got to make money, but you also got to be there for the kids. And at first, I thought there was a balance, but then I actually got it from, Ed Milet said it best. He was like, "There's no balance. There's just one thing at a time. You do all of this one thing, and then you go to the next thing. You can't be a 100% being a dad, and somehow there's this work going on while you're 100% being a dad. So it really isn't about balance." And I started to see the wisdom of that. One of the things I like to say is like, it's a bunch of spinning plates, right? And we're all trying to keep all these plates spinning. But sometimes you just got to let them fall and break, some of them. You can't keep them all spinning. So for me, visually, that just means like, hey, the most important thing, that's the plate you keep spinning. What is that? I don't know. It could just be an income stream or something like that. But whatever that is, you keep the most important plate spinning. If you're one of these ADD, I got to do 20 things at once, which I'm guilty of type people. But sometimes you just got to let the plates fall and break. Because why? Because you're doing too much. So back to the balance thing is sometimes you're just doing too much. You got to do less. And then you can be better at these one or two things you really care the most about. And, again, I had to learn that by clearing my plate, as I say, when I moved and just doing nothing for a year. I just was like, nope, no real estate, no Airbnb, nothing. I don't want to hear none of it. I need to clear my mind. And then that created the seed, which is this business, this technology company that, hopefully is going to be a mechanism for change in the world. But I couldn't do that trying to spin 100 different plates. Yes, money was coming in and people feel like, oh, I got to have a certain amount in the bank to feel safe. But guess what? How long can you keep up all this before something's going to break? It could be that bank account that you feel like it has to be this much. If you let it go to this much, suddenly you don't have to have so many plates going on and you have room to grow in the way you want to grow instead of being stuck in this constant spinning motion where you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. And that's kind of where I was. And, I decided to simplify and take less, give myself some space to breathe. So back to the point, sometimes it's not about, there is no balance. Sometimes it's just fully into one thing or fully into the other. And you just have to allocate time to make sure that you give each one of those things all you can give for that 60 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is, and then go to the next thing and do the best you can. Keep it down to 4 plates and you should be good.
Yeah, awesome. Jason, we're going to share this out with our audience, and I really appreciate your time. We'll put all the links, obviously, in the show notes. There's a lot of links. You got a lot of plates spinning on social media and everything. It's great. But again, thank you so much for spending time chatting, and my greetings to Oscar behind you there as well and on your shirt. And I love what you're doing. It's unique and creative, and everyone needs to kind of learn more about it. So we'll send people your way. Thanks, Jason, so much.
Thank you. And like I said, guys, go get you one of these.
There it is.
All you need is to start. I think it was like $125 on somewhere on Amazon. You can go start the party in your neighborhood. Just tell them, look, you bring the beer and you could win this. I don't know, whatever gets us going. And it could be the greatest thing you ever did in your life. So far for me, it's been one of the highlights of my life. So I highly suggest go drop some money and buy one of them belts and cause a ruckus in your neighborhood.
Okay, put that on and go celebrate your neighbors today and wave at them from front of your house. Yeah, hey, look at me, look at me.
I should go tease the dads again. I do that every once in a while just to break their balls.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Jason, so much for your time. Really appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
All right, cheers. Thanks for listening to Dad Space today. Go check us out on all over social media, YouTube, all that great stuff. You can find us as Dad Space Podcast. Real simple. Dad Space Podcast, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube. Email us, dadspacepodcast@gmail.com. We're always looking for great guests to come on the podcast. If you have any feedback for us, let us know here at Dad Space. Looking forward to connecting with you on the next episode, right here of Dad Space. Follow us on your podcast app for more. Cheers. To you, Dad. Thank you.